Welcome back, dear listeners, to another powerful episode of Mind Over Masculinity. This is where we stop asking men to tough it out and start asking better questions like uh, who is in your corner, who is working with you, who is telling you the truth when your mind is lying to you. And today we are talking about something that quietly holds a lot of men together or breaks them apart: mentorship. Not networking, not random advice from your group chat. It's a real mentorship. The kind that shapes how you see yourself, how you handle pressure, and how you survive that dark nights in your own head. So, our guest today lives this. So, please welcome T Green, the mentorship coach. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Avik. It's great to be here. Great to be here.
Lovely, lovely. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I would quickly love to introduce you with T. So, T is a retired major from US Special Operations Community, a Bronze Star recipient, a global speaker, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. So, he has spoken to crowds of over 10,000, coached executives, athletes, and high performers. And he has been named one of the 10 outstanding young Americans on a list that includes names like John F. Kennedy, and Bill Clinton. But under all that strategy and status, there is a deeper story. A boy from Charleston, raised by a strong mother who made poverty feel like abundance. A student teaches, the teachers wrote off. A man who got told what he would never be, then used mentorship to rewrite that script. So today we are going to connect the dots. How mentorship shapes men's mental health, why going alone is kind of overrated, and how leaders can stop performing strength and um, start modeling vulnerability with structure. So if you have ever thought like, I should have figured this out by now, or I do not have anyone I can really talk to, then this conversation is your sign. You are not meant to write knuckle your way through life. So let's get started. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely. So, T, like a lot of men, like I was mentioning, a lot of men uh, can name people they look up to. Few can name someone who actually walks beside them. So, from your journey, kind of, what is the difference between having a role model on a pedestal and having a true mentor in your corner, especially when it comes to mental health?
Well, first, just like you said, having someone in your corner is important because most men are trying to upgrade their life by adding more strength. But the real upgrade happens when you add more support. And that's what we don't look at as men, having someone in your corner and getting that support. Men don't lack strength. We typically lack role models.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if a man listening realizes that he has role models but no mentors, then what is the one simple first move that he can make this week to start shifting that, like without feeling awkward or kind of needy?
Well, first, they have to believe that they have value. Because if they don't feel like they have value, then they won't see the sense in trying to improve themselves in any way, whether it's on a personal level or professional level.
Mhm.
So that's the first thing. And if they believe they have value, then they also believe that they can mentor others. And that's important because if you look at it, people who are okay with finding mentors, they're okay with mentoring. And usually starts with people not thinking they have anything to provide to anybody. They think, well, I haven't achieved this certain level of success in my own mind. So who am I to mentor somebody? And if you feel like that, then you're afraid to go, ask for mentorship or even follow somebody. You're afraid to do that because you don't feel like you've achieved something because you'll have to explain to that mentor where you are. And if you don't feel like you have value, then you're going to be hesitant in doing that. So the first step is realizing that you have value. So when you approach somebody to mentor you, you can say, "Hey, I have this to offer, but I'm trying to improve myself."
Got it. Okay. You come from the US special operations world, which people assume is all about toughness and mission focused. So, behind the scenes, how did mentorship show up there as a mental health safety net? And what can an everyday guy, not a kind of soldier, steal from that playbook?
Well, in the special operations world, we know that failure is as a part of the process.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is you going with the plan. You can have the most detailed plan. But when we go in there, we expect something to go wrong, and then we have a backup, then we have a backup to a backup, etc. What that does, it helps with uh, a sense of toughness mentally
mm,
and resilience, and that's what you want to build in a mentee, and that's what you want to receive from your mentor is that confidence, that resilience. And so we know that hey, if you fall down, you get back up. The plan didn't work. I think that's something that's missing, and that mentors should provide. Again, because I believe in one of my key philosophies, that you mentor through failure. You utilize your failure to mentor.
yeah.
So if you find a mentor, you want one that is willing to share that. And again, going back to the value, if you know that your failures have helped you, then you can also use that to help others and knowing that hey, I made these mistakes, but I'm going to pass that on. And so I think that's one of the things that I took away from my time, in the military and in college. I went to a military school called the Citadel, and so the same thing. You learn that failure is a part of success.
I agree. I totally agree. So, um, when you think about the lowest or maybe the heaviest moments in that world, uh, can you share like uh what is it like kind of one situation where mentorship made the difference between um a man silently breaking and a man getting supported in time?
Oh man, there are so many examples. Me personally, I've been blessed with having mentors throughout, and so I was able to see these mentors go through some of their process, almost real time, see them tell me about something that they're going through. And again, it helped me do different struggles. I mean, there's so many, but the key is this.
Mm,
If you find a mentor and you find a mentor who's willing to open up, which is key. You'll know that within the first, conversation, that they're willing to share their failures. That will help you get through your tough times because once you share with them what you're going through, they'll have some failures, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, but they will have those stories. They'll have those examples of resilience that will help you get through it. And you have to be willing to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is the opposite. It's strength. Because if you want to, again, unless you special operations or anything, because everybody listening won't come from that world. If you're trying to get stronger, let's say a dam, right? You're trying to build a dam, and your dam has some weaknesses in it. You want to strengthen those vulnerabilities. You want to strengthen those vulnerabilities so it's stronger.
mm,
And we have to change the paradigm how we look at masculinity, uh, to realize that you find the vulnerabilities and you're willing to share them because forget what somebody's opinion is. Only you can be you. Nobody else can be you. And so you have to focus on your vulnerabilities and find those to help you shore up those weaknesses, those vulnerabilities so you can be stronger for yourself, but also the people around you, for your kids. And let's say we're talking about sons and nephews and mentees by doing that, by showing that, hey, we found here's a weakness or here's a vulnerability that I found. I looked for it and I found it, and I was able to be stronger by getting help from others, whether it's mental health or whether it's from women, because women have to overcome a whole lot in this world. So we can become even more masculine by learning from women.
Mm. Totally agree. Yep.
And one thing I want to say also
Mm.
is that masculinity isn't a performance. It's an inheritance. It's passed down through mentorship. So you want to be more masculine, then again, get a mentor.
Exactly. I agree.
Most people aren't. Most men. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please,
Yeah,
please continue. Yeah.
yeah. I'm not hit the light. Um, most uh most men, they were never mentored into manhood. A lot of times they're just expected to figure it out, right? And some of the struggling, like, they think they're weak because they were never guided, versus finding, a mentor who helped them learn identity, confidence,
Mm.
discipline, emotional intelligence, and also how to calibrate emotionally. But without it, realize that you're strong, but you can still be directionless, and this is why uh, it's important.
Mm.
Especially most men find leadership, they feel like, well, to be a leader, you need to be masculine, and to be masculine, you need to be a leader, etc.
Mm.
But one of my main philosophies as well is there's no leadership without mentorship.
Mm.
Every person, let alone every man that leads something, a household, a business, or a direction in their own lives, uh, you have to learn through mentorship how to do that, how to be that kind of leader.
Mm. Agree. Agree. So, like, you have the organizations design the mentorship as a strategic tool and not just a feel good initiative. So, if we zoom out, uh, what would it look like for the workplaces, like the communities, or maybe I'd say even the families, to treat mentorship as a core um, mental health infrastructure for men, and not as a kind of side project? So, I mean, if you can share.
So, how would organizations or families
Mm.
utilize mentorship to make it a core part
Yeah.
of masculinity?
Mm.
Well, I would say that strength without vulnerability is brittle masculinity, and I didn't mean for that to rhyme; it just happened to rhyme.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
vulnerability isn't weakness; it's access, right? It
Mm.
gives others permission to grow with you.
Mm.
And so when you include, the family or your organization, then
Mm.
people realize that they aren't doing it alone,
Correct.
if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Suppose if a listener is a kind of manager or a coach, a dad, or maybe even you can take a kind of community leader also, and they want to start building that culture. So, what is that one concrete system or ritual they can begin this month uh, that would make men around them feel less isolated?
Well, great question.
Mm.
The first thing you have to do, if you're a leader, you have to be vulnerable because you can't expect them to be vulnerable, which is again a key,
Mm.
um, and expect them to be vulnerable. You can't expect them to do that if you're not willing to lead that way.
Mm.
And you have to show them that you don't lose masculinity by opening up. You actually sharpen it.
Mm.
And so a mentor in an organization, you go in and you start telling, stories of some of your failures and how low you got. You don't say, hey, I made this mistake and then I did this and it turned back around and I became a success. No,
Mm.
you talk about the depth of pain emotionally maybe spiritually. You discuss that and you let them know that you were here so that you can relate. Because you better believe there's somebody in that audience, if not most people, uh, I'll say there's most people, if not all, that have
Mm,
reached the bottom at some point. They might be there right then in that moment,
mm,
but you don't know it. They're putting on a masculine face,
mm,
right? They're being tough. They think this is their strength.
mm,
You get up there and you explain to them the trials and tribulations you've gone through. You don't have to talk about your personal life if you don't want to. You can talk about your professional life. I remember a mentor of mine told me, now I knew this mentor as being very successful. Everybody knew him to be very successful. He was one of the fastest risers in the military. He won awards that were military branch wide, leadership awards. And he was, everybody knew he was going to be a general,
mm,
etc. Well, it blew me away when he told me how he almost got out of the military because
mm,
he received a report
mm,
for his annual report, his assessment that was not good at all. And his boss at the time was not a great leader, definitely not a mentor at all. Fortunately, he had another mentor that saw so much in him and mentored him and talked about his failures
mm,
and how he overcame. And so my mentor saw that and it encouraged him. He'd already signed the paperwork to get out of the military. And he stayed in and his career again skyrocketed to where I knew him and met him. And so that encouraged me to know that okay, wow, who would have thought
mm.
he was at that level, that lower level. He
Wow.
was getting divorced. Things were not good at the time, and things turned around for him because he had a mentor that was there. And just that story alone, again, encouraged me. So that's how important it is for a mentor to just go out there, especially day one. You start talking about your failures,
Yeah.
and not just on the corporate side. We're talking the personal side. One of the biggest things I believe parents make mistake of is not realizing how their kids see them. Kids see them as perfect. And so parents tend to not share their failures. And so by doing that, you
Yeah.
put the kids in a position where they feel like they have to be perfect as well.
Mm,
And so the parents who share their failures, they get it. They know that I'm not encouraging my kid to fail. What I'm doing is I'm helping them be stronger and have some resilience. So when they do make mistakes, when they do fail,
yeah.
that they can overcome them, and that I'm not perfect as a parent, and that I overcame those mistakes as well.
Mm,
You build resilience by that. So whether you're on the professional side or the personal side,
mm,
you have to realize how people see you, and you have to be vulnerable first at the
mm.
deepest, darkest level that you can so that they realize that they are not in it alone, that they can overcome, and that they can come to you for guidance.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Lovely. Yeah, I mean, this has been a kind of masterclass and not just a kind of mentorship as a concept, but mentorship as a mental health strategy for the men who are tired of pretending that they are fine. So, dear listeners, like if you're listening and something inside you is nodding, here is the uncomfortable truth. Most men do not fail from lack of potential, but they fail from lack of guided support, uh, too much silent pressure, and not enough honest mentorship. So here is your kind of mini challenge, I would say. Like, pick one area of your life where you feel the most stuck or stressed: work, um, fatherhood, relationships, purpose, anything, and write down the name of one person who is even one step ahead of you in that lane. So send them this short message. Keep it simple, something like, I respect how you handle XYZ, and I am working on that in my own life. So, would you be open to quick call or coffee sometime so I can learn from your experience? I mean, that's something quite simple, right? So, no big speech, no drama, just a very clear ask, right? If someone wants to connect with you, what will be the great medium to connect?
If they want to connect with me, you go to the mentorshipcoach.com. Um, we're about to launch our social media at iCoach Mentors at whether it's Instagram, across all platforms, even YouTube. Those are about to be launched, but it's at iCoach Mentors. But you can get on the mailing list on the mentorshipcoach.com website so that we can notify you in the next couple of weeks where those will be live. But LinkedIn as well. And Alvik, if you don't mind, I wanted to add some final thoughts, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, I think we need to redefine masculinity from a mentorship perspective, utilizing mentorship, and which is why you have this podcast, which is great because masculinity needs expansion, not restriction, not restriction. Healthy masculinity is not softer; it's fuller. People think you need to be tougher, harder uh, to have healthy masculinity. That's not true. That's what we hear about this toxic masculinity. The masculinity, healthy masculinity, is not softer. That's not what it is. Healthy masculinity is fuller. We don't need to strip down masculinity. We need to amplify
Mm.
mentors because, in my opinion, masculinity without self mastery is just aggression. Just aggression. Uh, and masculinity with mentorships becomes purpose. And I guess lastly, don't strive for being the strongest man in the room. Strive to be the man who strengthens the room.
Exactly. Lovely. So, dear listeners, I guess we have got something great from today's conversation. And I'd say that I'll put all the details and the links into the show notes for a easy reference. And if this episode got you thinking about the men in your life, share it with a friend, a colleague, or your team. Use it as a kind of conversation starter. Strong men are not the ones who never need help. They are the ones who build systems of support around them. So you do not have to do manhood solo.